It's deeply shocking that DWP has not kept the documents relating to the deaths of people that could have been related to DWP activity. We know from a Freedom of Information request that such documents were not passed to Professors Harrington and Litchfield, who carried out the statutory reviews of the work capability assessment. Surely it should have been the Department's responsibility to ensure that the reviewer had all the relevant information. The Minister's letter, in response to the member for Oldham East and Saddleworth, says that the documents have not been kept for a range of reasons, including document retention policies, organisational changes and staff turnover. That bureaucratic language is wholly out of keeping with the pain that families and friends affected by the death of a loved one feel. There is a systemic problem at DWP when it comes to meeting the needs of disabled people, and the facts speak for themselves. Over 1 million sanctions have been imposed on disabled people since 2010. 73% of both PIP and ESA cases that went to tribunal were found in favour of the appellant in 2018-19, and the Government is currently carrying out 7 reviews into different aspects of the social security system where disabled people were wrongly denied support that they should have been entitled to. The Minister must now tell us what action is the DWP taking to ensure that any documents relating to deaths in serious and complex cases related to DWP activity are retained in future. Will the Government now accede to the widespread calls for an independent inquiry into the way in which assessments are carried out and demand that the medical evidence of the impact they have on health and well-being of claimants is fully considered? And will the Government commit to an independent review into deaths of ill or disabled people where they may have been linked to DWP activity? The Department for Work and Pensions owes a duty of care not just to the people who it assesses for support, but also the families and friends of those who have lost loved ones in the most tragic of circumstances. The DWP has failed disabled people again.
Minister. Well, Mr Speaker, I'm disappointed with the Honourable Lady's line of questioning. As I have said twice already, Mr Speaker, we take incredibly seriously the death of any claimant, and we always conduct an investigation into the circumstances. And I said, Mr Speaker, the last independent review was in 2014. Under our data retention policy, emails going back over 12 months were not retained. However, under the peer review, that is held for 6 years, but we would have shared outcomes and lessons learned, and we would have shared further information with the independent reviewers. But as I said, Mr Speaker, my understanding is that they were not requested. Now, Mr Speaker, the Honourable Lady also raised broader issues relating to disability. We are spending over £55 billion a year this year on benefits to support disabled people and those with health conditions. This is around 2.5% of our GDP and over 6% of government spending. This year, Mr Speaker, spending on the main disability benefits of PIP, DLA and attendance allowance will be over £6 billion higher than it was in 2010, and disability spending will be higher every year to 2023 than it was in 2010.